I got this story from Roger Welch. We've just recently moved to Nebraska, and Roger Welch is a native Nebraskan. He is a storyteller, full of rich stories and history about the culture, and is an adopted member of, I believe it's the Winnebago tribe. This is a story about Coyote. Coyote was bored. You might even say he was depressed. He told his grandmother, "I think I'll go out and look around a little bit." "Grandson," she said, "that's good. But whatever you do, don't go near Big Buffalo Bull. He's mean and he'll harm you." Well, we know enough about Coyote to know that whatever you tell Coyote not to do, chances are that's what he's going to try to do. This is what happened. Coyote ambled around a while, and he walked up to the top of the hill. And when he got to the top of the hill, he looked down and he saw in the pasture below a herd of cows and Big Buffalo Bull, the most magnificent creature he had seen. And he said, "I've got to get a closer look." And so he got on the ground and he eased down and he got behind a tree. And then he needed a closer look, so he jumped over and got behind another tree. Kept on doing it till he was getting closer and closer. And Big Buffalo Bull just continued to graze. Finally, Coyote got so close that when Big Buffalo Bull raised that massive head and looked in his direction, he saw Coyote. And he said, "What are you doing? Why are you staring at me?" "Oh," Coyote said, "I am so sorry, Big Buffalo Bull. I didn't mean to startle you, and I don't mean to intrude. I was just so impressed with your beauty and power. And I just had to get a closer look. And oh, I wish I could be a Buffalo Bull myself." Well, Big Buffalo Bull was flattered by this. And he said, "Well, thank you very much." And he said, "And by the way, there is a way that you can be a Buffalo Bull. But I don't think you've got what it takes." "Oh, what? I'll do anything. I'm so excited. If I could just be a bull like you, please tell me what to do. I'll do anything you say." Big Buffalo Bull said, "Well, I'm not sure about this, but we can give it a try." He said, "It's not very complicated, but you have to do exactly as I tell you. Anything you say. Stand where you are, perfectly still, and no matter what happens, don't move." I can do that. And so Coyote pulled himself up to full height, and he stood there, and Big Buffalo Bull backed up, pawed the ground, lowered that massive head, and headed straight for Coyote. And Coyote said, "I've got to stand still, I will stand still." And then he opened his eyes, and he saw just before Buffalo Bull got to him. And he said, "Aye!" And he jumped out of the way. Buffalo Bull said, "I didn't think you had what it takes." "Oh," Coyote said, "please let me have another chance. Please give me another chance." And so Buffalo Bull said, "Okay, we'll give it another try." And so he backed up, lowered his head, charged at Coyote, and Coyote stood perfectly still. And this time he waited until Buffalo Bull was right on him, and he couldn't stand it, and he jumped. Well, rolled on the ground and said, I'm sorry, whatever, I'll do whatever it takes. Please give me another chance. And Buffalo Bull said, well, quit your whining. I'll give you one more chance. So for the third time, Buffalo Bull backed up, charged. Coyote stayed perfectly still until the very last second, and he jumped. Well, he whined and he groveled and he rolled to the ground and he said, please, please, Big Buffalo Bull, give me one more chance. Well, now, in Native American stories, there's usually a fourth chance, unlike the white man's stories, usually only 3 chances. Buffalo Bull said, okay, but this is it. This time he went back, way back, farther than he ever had before. He pawed the ground so hard that it uprooted the young sapling that was growing behind him. He lowered that massive head, snorted, and charged as fast as he could. And this time Coyote stood still as he could, and he stayed perfectly still. And wham! And he was unconscious. But when he came to, he was a Buffalo Bull. Oh, he was ecstatic. He ran onto the pasture and was just looking at some of the cows when all of a sudden a young bull hit him, butted him in the head. And then another one, and then another one. And he said, what's going on? The Coyote hadn't asked all the questions that he should before his transformation. This was just simply a way of the young bulls establishing leadership. And so they hammered him and butted heads with him and everything else. And oh, his body was hurting, his head was hurting. And he said, I didn't expect this. I'm not ready for this. And he ran over to get out of the herd and away from the young bulls. And he said, well, at least I can eat the grass. And he took his first mouthful of grass and he said, coyotes don't like grass. It's dry and brittle and there's no flavor, there's no taste to it. He was thoroughly disgusted with himself and had no idea what to do. Big Buffalo Bull had been watching the whole scene. He knew. He said, what's wrong, Coyote? Now, Bull. And Coyote, now Bull, said, oh, he said, I am miserable. I wish I had never asked you to turn me into a bull. I would give anything if I could be a coyote again. Well, you know how this story is going to go. If you stand perfectly still and don't move, and I charge you, then you can be a coyote again. And the first time Coyote jumped, the second time he jumped, the third time he couldn't stand it, and he moved at the last minute. And then on the fourth time, Big Buffalo Bull charged Coyote, now Bull, as hard as he could, and wham! And the young bull was unconscious. And when he woke up, he was a coyote again. And he eased out away from the pasture, climbed back the hill, and went back to the hole in the ground where he lived. And his grandmother said, grandson, what have you been doing? And he said, nothing. But we know better, don't we? Now, I don't have to moralize all the stories I tell, but I can't help but say, you know, sometimes when our life doesn't seem to be going the way we want it to, and we admire somebody else, and we think, only if I could be like them, we forget that one of the best things we can do in life is to be true to ourselves. Coyote learned a valuable lesson that day. Thank you for listening.